sat alone in her room, surrounded by the soft glow of fairy lights and the comforting hum of her favorite playlist. Everything seemed fine, just another peaceful evening. But suddenly, an invisible weight pressed upon her chest, and her heart began to race as though trying to escape. She had felt this way before, and it terrified her every time. Her breaths grew shallow, and her vision blurred with tears. It was as though her mind had become a stormy sea, each thought crashing into the next, overwhelming and relentless. Emily clutched her chest as if trying to hold herself together, her palms sweaty and trembling. She had no control over it. The panic was an unwelcome intruder, barging into her life unannounced. She tried to focus on the rhythmic ticking of her wall clock, but it seemed to mock her, its ticking growing louder and more erratic with each passing second. The walls of her room felt like they were closing in, and she had an irrational urge to flee, to escape from the relentless grip of anxiety. The worst part was not knowing why it had come this time. She had been perfectly fine just moments ago. It was as though her mind had betrayed her, as though it had conspired with her deepest fears to plunge her into this abyss. Emily closed her eyes, trying to remember the breathing exercises her therapist had taught her. Inhale, hold, exhale, repeat. But her breaths came in short gasps, and the room spun around her. She reached for her phone, her trembling fingers struggling to unlock it. Desperate for a lifeline, she called her best friend Sarah. As soon as Sarah answered, Emily could only manage fragmented sentences, her voice barely above a whisper. I can't breathe. Something's wrong. Please help. Sarah, recognizing the panic in Emily's voice, rushed over without hesitation. She found Emily still huddled in her room, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. Sarah held Emily's hand, her touch grounding and reassuring. Emily, it's going to be okay. Just breathe with me, Sarah said softly. Together, they focused on their breaths, in and out, slowly but steadily. Sarah's presence, her steady reassurance, acted as a lifeline for Emily in her stormy sea of panic. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually, Emily's racing heart began to slow, and the crushing weight on her chest started to lift. She was exhausted, drained by the panic attack, but she was no longer drowning in it. With Sarah by her side, Emily knew that she could weather any storm, even the tempestuous ones within her own mind. She wasn't alone, and she would always have someone to help her find her way back to calm waters.